the 2024 season. So with that, I'll kick it over to Coach.
Good morning. Nice to get a win, obviously. They've been few and far between. I'm really happy for our seniors. Not just senior day, the importance of that, but just to be able to send them out their last home game as seniors, the win, and did some things that we hadn't been able to do all year long: overcome adversity, respond instead of react, regain momentum, which is something that has really been hard for us to do this year when we lose it. So some things to build on for the future, and hopefully have a great week of practice and do them again next week and get our first road victory.
On Saturday, when Jacob Zeno wasn't part of the senior day festivities beforehand, kind of what is his plan? He's redshirt, and kind of what is his plan?
I think he's going to apply for a medical redshirt, and that's why he was not part of that. That was the players' choices. So my understanding is he's going to apply for a medical redshirt and try to play another year of college football.
And can you just kind of, I guess, talk a little bit about what exactly it was with him physically, and just kind of what has that meant to this team, not having the guy that started these quarterbacks?
Well, I've been really honest since day one. It's been a shoulder injury, non-throwing shoulder. I'll let him talk about the rest of it, but it was it had bothered him going into his last game that he started, and got worse in that game. And then, we felt from that period on that it was not best for him to play at least immediately after that.
Okay. And his final thing on that is you also had three other seniors
Mm-hmm.
that didn't take part, with Kevin Penn and O.C. Brothers and Trey Boski. Are any of those guys planning on?
Trey, I believe, has another year of eligibility, and then unaware of the whys behind the other two. Again, not my decision, though. Those are not my decisions, whether they walk or not.
Coach, you've been really transparent with us about this new world of college football. Coming down to the end of the season, what have you seen? I know you said keep the team together, but I'm sure you've seen it like
hard.
any other. What is it like? And can you share that?
I don't know if I have an answer. It's something I think about constantly, pray about, talk to mentors about, trying to figure out, is it the same for everybody? I honestly don't know. I know that everybody's motivated by something different these days, and that's okay. Like, I'm not an old curmudgeon that says you have to be motivated by X, right? You can have a lot of different motivations. As soon as those motivations, though, become bigger than a common goal, now you have a team issue. The greatest thing about team sports is that it takes everybody, regardless of their motivation, at least to do it for one another. And when it becomes more about yourself than it does the collective good of the team, then it's very hard to build great teams. I think every coach in America would say that. Now, some coaches are finding the secret sauce. I have not, right? How to balance that. I'll be excited for some of our players to have opportunities to move on and make a ton of money in college football, if that is indeed the case. But I think where it gets, and the data shows this, I think where I wish players would listen more to coaches. This is not my team, because I don't know on our team who's leaving, who's staying. But I'm looking around, I'm seeing guys announce that they're going in the portal, and there's still 3,400 players in the portal from last year that were never signed. If you look at the level of group of 5 players that have gone up, playing time, production, starts is rare. Like, it just doesn't happen. It's a very, very small number. You look at Power 5 players that go down that hadn't played in Power 4, that's not very successful. So what we're starting to see after a couple years of data is that there are certain players the portal is very good for, but they're the minority. And I think, these players need to listen to people who actually really care about them. And I don't know if they're always listening to the people that care about them the most. And part of caring about a player is understanding that his journey through college football and the ebbs and flows of it and the difficulties of it and the frustrations of it are what make it great. Right. And that narrative is not being talked about enough.
Is it? We talked about this last off season. Like, is it you try to fix it? You're trying to fix it, but then the guys you're coaching against are you hearing stuff about them trying to reach out already, or how does that work?
We in the American, we have really good relationships as coaches. Now, unfortunately, 6 of us are no longer with us. But we've had open communication about this, even though we're competing against one another. We all kind of feel the same, that we'd ideally like to build our teams from the high school ranks. But as you're looking at roster turnover and now a couple years of this cycle, you don't have the old school way of where you have the right amount of players, young players in each age group, right? So, for instance, when I got here, there was a huge gap in one of the recruiting years. So we had to fill that age group, right? We couldn't go and stack below it all the high school classes. So you'd have, let's arbitrarily say you have, 20, 2020, what would it be, 2027s, 20, 2026s. You don't have that anymore. You might have 36 in one class and 7 in another class. So you're constantly trying to get those numbers balanced out, and you can't always do it through high school. The other challenge is at this level is, let's take Kelvin Hill. Kelvin Hill started every game as a true freshman. He's had a fantastic season, probably one of the more underrated players in our conference. He's going to have great opportunities out there. But when you do help a young player have success early, it hurts you as well, because you're going to lose that player. So do you go recruit another freshman to take his place? If the guy's taking his place, he beat out, well, then did you get better over the off season? So there's a lot of, and I'm not complaining, there's just a lot of dynamics that go with it. And unfortunately, this conversation can't be done in a soundbite. And I lived your life, right? I lived all your lives. Like, you can't truly explain it. You can talk about it in print. You can try to give people a general understanding of it. But ultimately, they're going to whatever Instagram and Twitter says to create an opinion on the state of the portal and NIL and all these different things, and people don't see the broader picture, the bigger effect that's happening to young people and coaches and programs.
And Trent, to follow up with Ron's question, have those conversations been had with certain players about the intent to enter the portal with this season?
They have not.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep the main thing. As I said last week, I thought last week was the most important game in the history of my tenure here, and I'll say the same thing this week. It is all hands on deck. It is everything in our power, in our control, to try to win this one, and then we'll start exit meetings on Sunday since we're not in a bowl game, and I'm sure some of those conversations will come up with players, even though the portal doesn't open until the 9th. I'm assuming I'll have players tell me in those exit meetings what their intent is, and I'll bring it up to some of them as well. And the one thing I'm not going to do is beg for players to be here that don't want to be here. I think you can't build what we're going to need to have to build to win with people that have one foot in and one foot out. So if they have one foot out, then I'm not going to be mad, but this is not going to be a groveling to keep them. So there's a lot of really good football players out there, especially in this region. Like Coach Saban used to talk all the time about the 500-mile radius that is just loaded with some of the greatest football prospects ever. We're in that same radius. And although we're not recruiting the same type of players that Nick recruited at Alabama or he was recruiting at Auburn, we're still recruiting a high-caliber player, and there's a lot of them around here. And there's a lot of them that have gone off to school elsewhere and want to come back to Birmingham because it's a great city. So we'll be active in both the high school ranks. We've already been wildly successful in high school recruiting. Sometimes I don't know why, with considering our record. and we'll be aggressive in the right kind of portal player too if we absorb the losses that people are predicting.
When if you can win back-to-back games, win the first road game, that type of thing, the momentum of the way you ended these last two games, even during a tough season, how much would that help in just the momentum of the program, plus the momentum of, or the possibility of maybe keeping some guys who are on the fence?
I don't know if it's going to matter there. If you're on the fence, as a player, you're probably both feet out. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't want to be part of fixing this, then you've probably already made a decision that you want to take an easier road somewhere else. Now, I'd hope that those players would listen to data. They're going to get the data put in front of them on what that may mean for their careers. For most players at our level, I won't say my team, don't hear me say my team, at our level, for most players, if they choose to go up, it'll be a terrible, terrible, terrible decision for their careers. Unless they just want to rush the field at Auburn last night or 2 nights ago, right? If they want to be part of that, but not be part of between the lines, cool, I get it, right? Have this big, glamorous pageantry college experience. But very, very few group of 5 players go up to the Power 4 and are impact players. If some want to go down because they want to play more, I could understand that maybe to a certain degree. But I would also wonder if they have the competitive edge to get up every single morning and chase their best if they're looking for an easier road of playing time. Again, that is our level. It's not my team. So I think what this week means is one more opportunity for those of us that want to right the ship of learning how to become winners, because we have not been winners. Your pedigree doesn't make you a winner. What you've done in the past doesn't make you a winner. What you do this week makes you a winner. And I'm going to try to be a winner this week. Cole's going to be a winner this week. We're having enough guys who hopefully want to be winners this week. And if we get enough of them and we can go to Charlotte and get our first road victory, then we're winners for this week. I don't know if it means much more besides that.
You talk about moving the ship in the right direction with a win would be huge. What's the support been like just with this university and everything moving forward?
It's been fantastic. Mark has been fantastic through this process. It's been brutal on him, obviously. He hired me. It has not gone the way either of us had expected. So it's been very tough on him, but he's been nothing but supportive to me. And I appreciate that. And, the one thing that I've tried to make people understand is nobody hurts more than me when we lose. Nobody hurts more than me when we don't meet expectations. Nobody's more surprised than me, to be honest with you, of the failures of this season. But I also dust myself off each week and go back to work and do the things I know are winning things, and trust that over time you do enough winning things, you get enough people doing winning things with you, that you'll become a winner consistently. And based on the fact that I still have a job sitting here today, Mark believes the same things. With
Charlotte coming up, road game, they lost their coach just recently. Put a good program, a good recruiter. What do you see out of that team? And I know it's a different scenario with no head coach now.
Yeah, and we did it last week with Rice. Coach Bloomberg has built Rice from, I think it was 2000. I mean, he'd been there, 7 years? He'd done a fantastic job. We thought Rice on film was one of the better, more physical teams we were going to face all year long. Tough position for Pete to be in, and we talked about it before the game, and so we're playing another team with an interim coach. I don't know what that means. And I also try not to comment on other people's programs. Every scenario is different. I've reached out to all the coaches that have been let go in our conference. I'd call them all friends. I feel badly for them. But at the same time, I got enough things here I got to worry about. It's hard to worry about other people's situations.
And Trent, this is game 100 this Saturday since the
I saw
return.
that today, yeah.
What does that mean to you to know just what Bill
John,
built?
it's interesting you say that, because I literally was you guys know my morning habits. I spend a lot of time in the mornings reading, quiet time praying, and I was reading some stuff this morning. I saw that. I was unaware of that, and I actually was taken aback by it. I was like, wow, that's a big deal. Like, this is a big a monumental type milestone. And I've said it from the beginning, I have nothing but respect for Bill. I'd call him a friend. I thought what he did, what everybody did to bring the program back was pretty spectacular. So, you know, again, I've said this publicly. I've said this to Bill. I've been embarrassed by what has happened in my tenure here. But I also am steadfast in wanting to fix it and build upon something really good that Bill built.
With Isaiah Jacobs, I mean, obviously we saw what kind of leader he was when he was playing. Just kind of what kind of leader has he been since the injury, and also with him, how much a role has he played in Lee Beebe's progression as not only a player but as a person and that type of thing?
That's a great question, Steve. One, it's very hard to be a leader when you're hurt, and Isaiah's done a great job finding that balance. I've had to live that. You know, I've been a team captain twice and been and lost the year because of injury, and it is really hard to lead when you're in the training room. You know, when you're not doing the hard things that your teammates are doing. So you have to learn what that niche is. I think Isaiah's done a really good job of finding that. And I think one of the ways is his room. You know, sometimes the easiest thing to do, not the easiest, the best thing to do is just focus on the micro. And the micro is the running back's room. And, you know, Henley's already a great leader as the coach, but every coach needs player leadership too. And Isaiah's done a really good job of being an encourager. There's a standard there to be met each day. The BBs and the other Lee Witherspoon and the other backs that are in that room still value his voice. You almost sense that they know he's out there and he's watching, and we better not take a play off type thing. You know, that room has been that room's never flinched regardless of our circumstances. When Lee fumbled twice in the first game, he didn't flinch, right? He didn't go in the tank after the call against UConn. The whole room is practiced hard every day. They don't complain. They're low maintenance. They work hard in the weight room. They handle their business off the field. And I think all of that is a product of Isaiah's leadership. And I know Isaiah has had a personal influence on Lee's growth as a man too. So to me, that's as important as the football stuff.
With Cory Miller, particularly his last two games have really shown, you know, how much he's progressed. Kind of how different is he from day one of this season till right now, and also how much does he have to learn from the two?
Yeah.
You know, two.
I would say both. Yes, he's Cory's a great example of what the developmental model looks like in college football when done well. You know, we have not done a lot of things well. I think we've done that very well. We have taken young players that were not highly recruited, that we saw something in. We've coached them up on and off the field. We've endured with them through the struggles of growing as people and players. And now you're starting to see the fruit of that labor. He was a raw, talented athlete that has become a very productive wide receiver. Cory, I think, has a very good heart. And Cory and I get along very well. We connect very well, even when I'm hard on him. I think he knows he's growing emotionally. And I think there's times that his emotions get the best of him. And we saw that on Saturday. We've seen it other times during the season. I'm willing to work with players if they're willing to grow. You know, I'm willing to work through the growing pains of that. I'm a father first. You know, what if I would have abandoned my middle daughter when she was a knucklehead, or my oldest daughter when she was a knucklehead? Like, you know, kids are gonna grow. They're gonna need to learn from mistakes. They're going to need to learn how to emotionally regulate. They're going to need people in their lives that are going to be patient with them, but also hold them accountable. And I've tried to do that with Cory, and will continue to try to do that with Cory. And I appreciate the fact that he's been willing to work with me on that process. And I think he's starting to see, when you combine both the off the field growth and the on the field growth, what that can mean to you as a player.
Obviously, I don't think safety's been a problem, but with Chris Bracey, having Chris Bracey back out there, for the first time since early in the year, kind of what did that mean to have him back out there, and how did he play in his first game back?
Gives me the warm and fuzzies. Really does. Like, he is he's a fantastic football player. He's a fantastic kid. He's a fantastic worker. He would be up for off-season MVP, and he had an unbelievable training camp, and then was playing at an incredibly high level, and then has a very difficult situation with an injury. I appreciate how he attacked the rehab process. He never got disengaged. Chris is everything you're looking for. That's the easiest way to say it. He's an Alabama kid from a very good program with high recommendations from a very, very successful, renowned high school football coach, with a great mom, with great pedigree, that's been a great Blazer to this point. And to see him back on the field, I actually yelled at him two things. He was on kind of our side playing our half of the field, and one time I yelled at him. I said, "You're giving me the warm and fuzzies seeing you out there," and he kind of giggled. And then I said, "But I haven't seen you make a play in 2 months. Can you make a play?" And he kind of giggled at that too. So I love Chris Bracey. It's nice to have him back. He makes the whole secondary better, makes the whole defense better. He played well. Like, he didn't play bad. He triggered. He had good eyes. He was physical. I think just one tackle that I think he would like back. It wasn't a terrible mistake, but I think if he had it over again, he had a chance to make a little more dynamic play. And I love the way he practiced all week too. Like, he practiced like he had never missed a beat.
Anything else?
Thanks, you guys.